everybody. Welcome to episode 139 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's patrolling the night with me tonight?
Well, if it's Batman, it's got to be me, Kenneth Sanity. Once again, ready to talk about the Dark Knight again.
And our special guest.
My name is Blair Farrel. I died of excitement after being on the Spider-Man episode, and I was crudely defibrillated back to life to talk about a Batman game developed in my home country.
And where might people know you from?
You might know me from my website, comicbookvideogames.com, which is topical about what we're going to discuss today.
All right, and we do have a spooky Patreon poll starting this month. When you're hearing this episode, you get 4 movies to choose from to vote for. We have to watch or suffer through for me because I don't like horror movies. Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984, The Witch from 2015, Reanimator from 1985, or Poltergeist from 1982. For as little as $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll. Just go down the show notes. You will see a link to the Patreon. Go there and you can vote and choose what movie we are going to cover in October. It is very much so. So we are talking about Batman Arkham Origins from 2013, published by Warner Brothers and then developed by WB Games Montreal. Now this game I feel like gets a lot of hate because it's not as good as Arkham City, but I feel like that's not the developer's fault. I'm assuming this was rushed, is what I'm assuming, just based on the way that it feels at times. Like, it's a quality game, but I feel like there were things that were, just like the publisher was like, you need to get this out now, so we don't care, just ship it type of thing. I wonder if any of that's true or not. I didn't look up anything about the development of this game, really.
One thing I know is that even playing it now, because I remember when it was out, one of the big issues was that it was rough. Like, I remember playing it on 360, and there was times when the console would, hard freeze. And this time around, and I know since then they patched it up a little, but I played on my PS3, and there was one point where my system hard locked. I was almost threatening to unplug my console because it wouldn't turn off, just as I used one of the Batwing war points.
And See, I played this on my PS4.
Did you have any issues?
Now?
Yeah, I played it on PS Now. And I didn't have any lockups.
Okay.
But I was also streaming it the entire time, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but unfortunately, I didn't have a reason to stop playing this.
I played this on PC, and I found out through reading comments and things that I don't think they ever patched the PC version, because I ran into a ton of bugs. Nothing that affected gameplay, nothing that froze the game, just dumb bugs. Like, I was fighting a guy at one point, and I beat everybody in the fight, but there was still one guy just standing there. So I went to go hit him, but he wasn't actually there. He was just, the model was there, but it didn't register. And I was like, okay. There were a bunch of little things like that happened to me where I could just tell something was wrong, but it didn't affect the game per se for me. I didn't have any crashes though, at least. But yeah, they didn't patch PC, I don't think, from the sound of it, because they weren't allowed to.
And when this first launched, pre any patches, there were a lot of problems with people falling through textures, and it was kind of a mess.
It happens.
And I think probably a big part this game is just it's fine, is that it isn't developed by Rocksteady. Rocksteady put all the work in on Arkham Asylum and on Arkham City and that DLC for Arkham City. But this was done by WB Games Montreal, who had previously ported Arkham City to the Wii U.
Which I think is a good port.
Yeah, actually, I believe it was.
It's fine. It's literally the same game with some weird armor costumes on Batman and Catwoman, and there's some interesting stuff with the tablet, but it's literally the same game.
Oh, that's right. It was the Armored Edition, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're also doing Gotham Knights, too.
And I'm not sure who's there now, but, the thing about, because for researching this episode, because I bought the Game Informer covers magazine for when this came out, because it came out, I think I'm going to say January or February. It was a long time before the game came out. And, the studio itself, I think they just had the Arkham Origins or the Arkham Asylum Wii U port under their belt. But a lot of the names in the studio are like pretty seasoned developers. Like the creative director, his name is Eric Holmes. He works on the Battlefield games now. But previously, he worked at Radical on stuff like Prototype and Ultimate Destruction. Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, rather. And the writer was Corey May, who did the Assassin's Creed games, I think up until, I don't know, but he did 2 and Brotherhood, which are probably the ones I like the most.
Those are the best.
And one of the senior producers also worked at Ubisoft on like the 2008 Prince of Persia game. So, I mean, there were some choice people here.
Guys,
Just the studio didn't have a name.
You mentioned a lot of fun games, and I don't know what happened here.
I still have a great time.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy playing this game every time I throw it in.
Yeah, I think I might enjoy this more than Arkham City, to be honest with you, at times.
Which is weird, because I feel like it's because I played Arkham City so recently that this just felt unbearable.
That's probably why. Because Arkham City was just a few months ago. Earlier this year, at some point. I don't remember when we did it, but yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Part of the thing with this game is that, the reason why we don't have Rocksteady making it is because Rocksteady's working on Arkham Knight for next gen, and I'm assuming WB wanted something out before the system switched over, so then they put the studio in charge of this game, and they just reused all the assets. Which again, development began in 2011, and this game came out in 2013, so that probably played a little bit of it too. That's not a whole lot of time, I feel like, for a AAA title. Again, I don't make games, but I do read enough.
Well, there was 2 years between Asylum and City.
Okay.
And actually, it's interesting because I remember when this came out, because people, it kind of reuses assets and it's a new studio. I honestly thought that this was going to be WB Games' attempt at annualizing Batman, where each developer would take a year off, and that kind of never happened. I'm kind of happy about that, because if that was going to be like, here's City, and then we're going to have the WB Games Montreal one, and then Night, and then another one, and kind of alternate it year in, year out, like a certain annual franchise that I really don't want to mention the name of for personal reasons.
Fair enough. Don't bother.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go that route, though, because it kind of felt like that, because at the same time that you had this game came out, I want to say even like the same month. Yeah, the same month that this came out, they also released Arkham Origins for PS Vita and 3DS.
It was within days of one another. It was this and Lego Marvel Superheroes and Arkham Origins Blackgate were in the same 5 days. And they're all from the same publisher, actually.
Is just fun. It's a better game than this.
I think that game is more of a mess than this one.
If you play the unpatched version, I played the 3DS version, which never got patched, which I started playing a long time ago and couldn't beat it because there's a game-breaking glitch in that game that never got fixed. And
I finished it on 3DS and I played the 360 version, and both. My big problem with that game is that I hate Metroid-style games where the map just isn't strictly 2D, like you're reading a map and then to get to one section, you have to go through a vent that goes to another part of the map, and essentially made the map totally unreadable. And they tried to fix that for when they put it on consoles, but they didn't really fix it. So it was just clumsy to navigate.
It's going to be on the show next. You're not next, but next Batman game we do. So with Origins, one thing I like the setting of this game, I should say, because the setting takes place. I think the story is the strongest point. I think the story, the setting, all that is the strongest point of this game, and it's why I enjoy it so much, is that you have it taking place Christmas Eve. You have it, the game starts off very quickly where you are in Blackgate Prison trying to stop a outbreak. Prison break is the word I should be using. And you have Black Mask that is trying to, is in there for some reason, and you fight Killer Croc you see Killer Croc for the first time, which is I think their first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks different than he does in the other Arkham games, but I'm fine with that. Like, it's an origin story, so, I'm cool with him not looking as buff as he did in the other ones. That didn't bother me.
And I think the setting was probably my favorite part of it, because it gave me really heavy Batman Return vibes. Because, it takes place in the snow around Christmas, and it was just kind of cool.
Yeah, like with this and Miles Morales, you kind of have like a 1-2 punch of Marvel DC Christmas games.
I haven't played Miles Morales yet.
I would wait until at least November.
I'm waiting until I get a PS5, so.
Fair enough.
I'm just waiting. I have no rush.
See you in November of 2022.
So, I mean, that's one thing
that.
that grabs about the game. And I like the fact that this is a Batman Year 1 story also, which this is essentially Year 2, I should say. This is his second year he's in Batman. And I like that. I don't have a lot of experience with Batman Year 1 because I never read the comic. I did watch the animated movie Batman Year 1, which is pretty good from what I remember, but it's been a long time. So I was excited also to kind of see this early story of Batman, which I think takes place, is it 8 years before Arkham or something like that? Before Arkham Asylum? Yeah, 8 years before Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Which
sounds about right.
I like. I know people have complaints with that. Like, they had complaints with the fact that he meets all these villains in one day for the first time. I'm okay with that. Like, it's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, the framing device really makes that work.
Yeah.
Like, you have Black Mask hiring all of these assassins to collect a $50 million bounty on Batman's head. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and I like that as a setting. I like the whole fact that, like, Black Mask puts this 50 million, bounty on. Is it 50 million?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of fucking money. Puts
That's
this
a
huge
lot of
bounty
fucking
on
money.
him, which then attracts, 8 different assassins?
Yep.
Okay. And I like that because it gives you an excuse to bring in a bunch of villains and even villains that I felt that had no point. But, I was confused that they were there. But hey, I like all of them. We'll get into it shortly. It's a cool concept. And I like the fact that you're fighting Killer Croc, which is one of the assassins right away as your first boss fight. And I was happy to say it wasn't a Bane fight. I didn't have to fight him just like I fought Bane in other games. I didn't have to do any of that. I just fought him. It was fun. And I liked it. Even if the game made me have to fight him in a certain way at the end so he could fall off the thing, I was okay with it. It doesn't bother me. I like seeing Killer Croc.
I just like stories that have a Batman who isn't so sure of himself or is just who thinks has all the answers but is completely wrong. Because I feel like over the years, I guess people refer to it as Bat God, where he's just the normal guy, but he's actually the most powerful person in the room. So to see him like stumble and fall and fail at times and just be kind of rash and not as, I guess, refined as what you would see in Arkham Asylum, where he's, you're walking in the sewers and he's like, oh, it's Killer Croc is setting a trap for you. He's like, no, I'm setting a trap for him, or something like that. Or he's like, you're the bait. He's like, no, he's the bait. And I don't know, just that kind of cockiness in a sense. So it's just like see like a rougher Batman, and that's exemplified by Roger Craig Smith, who's kind of way different than what Kevin Conroy is.
Yeah, so theoretically younger Batman.
Yeah.
With a different suit. Like, it's not as streamlined as the other bat suits. This one's still kind of bulky. He's got, more obvious armor in it because he's just starting out. He hasn't really gotten too involved with the whole Wayne Tech aspect of things.
Which
like
is nice.
It's an interesting concept.
I like the fact that he doesn't, with this being a prequel story, he doesn't have all the abilities that he's normally used to. I mean, they find a way to work into different gadgets, and I like the gadget that you get. And I also like there's one scene early on when he's trying to interrogate someone and he knocks him out too quickly. I like all that. That was cool to see. Yeah,
but you brought up the interrogate function, which is one of my least favorite things in this game.
It's better.
It sucked in Arkham City. It sucks here.
Except in here, you can't accidentally take out the guy. At least not on easy.
Right.
And not on normal either, because that's what I played it on.
I'm okay with that because I hated the fact that I'd hit the wrong button. Oh, I took out the guy. Oh, there goes that. But now it's just like
better start over.
You can't take him out. I mean, they will literally just not let you, and I'm okay with that. I have no issue with the game being like, hey, we're gonna throw you a freebie. You can throw me all the freebies you want. I will gladly take them. So that made me happier because I didn't really. I mean, you don't have to interrogate people unless you're really going for the Riddler stuff. I mean, I did interrogate people if I found. At first, I was getting all of them. Then I stopped because I'm like, why? but that was more of a me thing, not the game. But
Yeah,
no, it wasn't fun.
I've done it before. Sorry, yeah, I've done it before, but for the purposes of this, I'm just ignoring all of the Riddler stuff and hitting all the little radio towers, I guess. What are they called? The
relay stations?
Yeah, I just ignored all that stuff for this time. I mean, the reward is not that great because I've done it in the past. I even like last year, I believe. So yeah.
I'm sorry, the Who stuff? What character?
Riddler.
Who's the Riddler?
I see where you're going with this. They never say Riddler, do they?
No, they call him Enigma.
I'm okay with that too.
Even the Riddler can have like an edgelord MySpace name when he's just starting out.
Is there like a cutscene or something if you do all his stuff?
If you get all the Riddler stuff, the reward is like you go to his base and there's what would come to be the Riddler trophies you would find in Asylum City and Night. Wait, are the collectible trophies in Arkham Knight? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a spell. But yeah, that's what it is. Essentially, that's it. It's not really worth it.
Oh, do you even like arrest him?
No, I think he just gets away. Like you go to his base and then you go in the door and the Riddler trophy is there.
That's really stupid.
Yeah. Well,
I don't ever do the Riddler stuff because I think it's just stupid in all three of these games. Only one game that in Asylum a long time ago, I tried to get all of them to get the achievement for Riddler. And I was missing like 3 Joker teeth I could not find, and that was it.
I do it in Asylum because it's manageable, because it's always like in contained rooms. So if you have like a puzzle or whatever, or a riddle where it's like find Penguin's umbrella, it's in like an area. But then from that point onward, it's like, okay, find this poster in a square block. And then just like in Asylum, they kind of made all the ones, I guess, even like casual fans would know. And then in City, it would just kind of they're like, we need to go deeper because we kind of used all the Riddler stuff in the first one. And you were like, what am I looking for? And you really have to like get all of the interrogations to know like what you're looking for.
Part of the thing with the first one is that they were all riddles, and every city and onward they're not, and that's what also kind of turned me off with them. I like the riddles. I don't like stuff like this. I only did a couple, then I just was done with them. I did go for a bunch of the relay stations because after you go and unlock a tower, which is what your fast travel is in this game, I would do that, and I would do the relay station. I only did it at first because I was trying to get enough experience to level up before I did the Deathstroke fight because I was scared of the Deathstroke fight. So I was trying to make sure I could level up all my armor and my bulletproof armor, so that way when I got to that fight, I would be okay. And so I was doing the relay station. I was not doing the extortion pack because I didn't care. But then I quit once I got my level up. I'm like, okay, I'm good enough. And I went and fought Deathstroke when we get there because I knew it was coming. Because I remember that fight being a bitch.
I think that might have been the most fun I had in the game.
Oh, you should try it on New Game Plus because the exclamation points aren't there and you have to like watch for every tell.
Ooh.
No, yeah, it's brutal.
That sounds actually kind of fun. Man, that means I gotta go beat this game? Ugh. Go through New Game Plus?
Come on. Not happening to me. Not at all. But also, we should talk about the different... So the whole thing is, like we were saying, that you have this story where all these assassins are coming to kill Batman. They have one night to do it. And I think you have a good team of assassins that you do get. So you get Killer Croc, you get Bane, Copperhead, which is not the Copperhead you would know from the comics because they changed the character, which I'm okay with. You get Shiva, which is a character I was not familiar with before this. Firefly, Deadshot, and I'm blanking on...
don't forget the Electrocutioner.
Oh, that's what I was blanking on.
How can you blank on him? He's the Electrocutioner.
I don't even know him from the comics.
He got the best boss fight in the game.
And Deathstroke. Well, how the hell did I forget Deathstroke? I don't know. But yeah. So it's a cool concept. I love this concept. I love the idea that the assassins, the Electrocutioner is such a fucking joke, though.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. He's the best boss fight.
You punch him once and he's gone.
Shut up. It's the best boss fight.
Yeah, I like that stuff. It reminds me of the Mysterio boss fight in Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
God, I need to play those games someday.
But there are some other cool characters in here as well. You see Penguin coming back without the Coke bottle monogram. or mono,
Yeah.
whatever. Monocle. That's what I was looking for.
That was cool. I mean, it was cool that they found a way to bring in stuff like you go to Penguin Ship. I actually like Penguin Ship a lot. I was amused early on. Like I took my time going there because I knew Deathstroke was waiting for me and I didn't want to fight Deathstroke. But I enjoyed it. Like I thought it was cool. Like it's cool going through the ship and you're going after Penguin. I think he already knows who Penguin is at this point, or Penguin knows who he is, if I remember correctly.
He's an established presence in Gotham.
Okay. And I enjoyed the whole thing with the two different women that worked for Penguin, Tracy and Candy. Like, I don't know, it was amusing me. And like the fact like the executioner shows up and like we were talking about, how it's a one-hit fight. You just punch him and that's the end of it. It's stupid, but it was
like 50 dudes at you.
I mean, I enjoyed the combat too in this game. I think the combat is just fine.
Mm.
Well, I mean, it's built on what has come before, so you can't really go wrong. It's just like a refinement.
That's my main problem. It builds on what came before. It feels so similar to Arkham City. It just feels like a long DLC for me.
I can see where you're coming from. I didn't have that same feel, but then again, I think my gaming thing is different than most people in general. Well, I mean, I do get where you come from because it is very much the same style of combat. You just add a few new gadgets, really just the gauntlets midway through, near halfway through the game. Other than that, everything's almost exactly the same as City and Asylum, but I'm okay with that because it was just more of it.
I think like in the context of when it came out, because when I think about like Assassin's Creed 1 came out in 2007, then 2 came out in 2009, and like I loved Assassin's Creed 2, and then I wanted more, and then I kind of got a monkey's paw wish where they put out one a year later, and that was Brotherhood, and Brotherhood was really good. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, as long as they kind of stick to this level of quality, it's fine. But then the next one came out and it was kind of diminishing returns. So like when this came out, yeah, it was using assets from Arkham City and a lot of the same combat, but there was only 2 Arkham games. So I was hungry for more Batman. Like I love those games. I remember I didn't get all the Riddler trophies in Arkham City when it came out, but before this came out, I think I bought the Game of the Year edition because I'm just like the idiot who will rebuy something if it has all the stuff there.
I'm the same.
And I really got into getting them. Like doing all the physical challenges was really fun. So yeah, I was totally down for another Batman game, even if it was, the quote unquote B team. If they would have kept going with it, I think it would have been worse. Like I said, where if they would have annualized it, but then Arkham Knight was 2015? Because it was announced in 2014, not long after this came out. So there was enough time there, and now we haven't had like a solo Batman game in how many years other than Arkham VR? It's been a while.
Yeah, we're supposed to get next year. We're supposed to get the other one that Montreal's working on. Yeah,
Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, I think, are in the same year now, unless Suicide Squad gets delayed.
Oh, it's going to get delayed. It's going to flop out of 2022. I bet money.
We haven't seen anything about it really either, so yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one.
I'm interested in it, especially with new movie that just recently came out. But the game, like the movie, makes the biggest mistake of all. They do not have Ron Funches as King Shark, like he is in the Harley Quinn cartoon. And I think that's just a mistake.
I totally got mixed up there. I was like, what Batman movie came out? Did I miss something?
I was wondering too.
I was like, is there a new trailer for Gotham Knights or in Gamescom? I figured I would have heard about that.
That is Suicide Squad, which is a good film.
Okay.
Like the whole thing with Electrocutioner, I thought, it is amusing that one of the guys that is there is just a joke, and they even talk. You can even hear people talking about him throughout the game. Like they'll be like, "Oh, Electrocutioner went to go fight Batman. Man, that guy doesn't even have any powers." Like you hear some jokes like that throughout from random people talking. And I like the fact that like Batman's like, "Oh, I should have tied him up because then he's gone when you come back into the room."
Mm-hmm.
That was again early Batman, not knowing he should or restrain people, I guess, but instead of just breaking all their bones.
Mistake with Deathstroke though.
No, so probably one of the best moments of this game, even though it's probably and I think it's one of the best boss fights in the Arkham series. Well,
I could give it that.
Yeah.
the Deathstroke fight is great. I was terrified of it because I remember when I first played this game back in probably early 2014, because I borrowed this from a friend for the first time I played it. And I remember Deathstroke it took me multiple tries to get through that fight because I just kept getting my ass.
One thing about this game that's kind of disappointing is I remember when the first trailers came out and like the Game Informer cover story that they kind of sold Black Mask and Deathstroke like they were going to be like the big deal in this game. And then Deathstroke is gone after that. He's almost like Lady D in Resident Evil Village, where everyone was like hyping this character who's like gone really fast.
Yeah.
And then like eventually, I guess we'll get into it with what happens in the story. Like both of those characters were like, okay, let's give the spotlight to these people. But then it turns into it kind of shifts. And I actually enjoyed that shift because of what they do with it. But it's still kind of disappointing that Deathstroke comes in and then he's just gone.
Yeah, and he's too. I mean, it would have been nice to have him around more, but at the same time, I get why they did that. Why he's just here for like this, he's just one of the assassins. You just fight him the one boss fight.
I guess they had plans for him for later on, which I guess we'll also get into later.
Yeah, I mean, he's an Arkham Knight, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, you fight him in a tank.
Yeah, it's not the same. I actually don't know if I ever beat Arkham Knight or not. I can't remember. I don't think I ever did, actually, but that's neither here nor there. But no, the Deathstroke fight is just so awesome because you can't fight him the way you normally fight him. It's all about, you have to counter, and then you get the few chances to strike. And it's a long fight, too. Like, it is not short. Like, it takes a while to get whittled down his health. And I like, as you're doing the fight, things change. Like, after the first set of fighting him and countering him and doing it right, you break his staff. And then he pulls out his katana, and then you break his mask. Like, it's really, I thought it was very cool. Like, it's such a unique and just, besides punishing fight, it's a fun fight.
Well, this series has kind of always struggled with bosses, and I think this one is maybe kind of the worst because you have a lot of people, like when you get into like the submissions with like Anarchy and Black Mask, and they're just people in the crowd. And like in Arkham Asylum, like it didn't have the greatest boss fights. And then it wasn't until City where they had like everyone goes to Mr. Freeze, that fight is excellent. So you kind of have like a duel, which is what the Deathstroke thing is. It's a duel of these two expert martial artists, and how you're on your toes the entire time, just knowing when to hit and when to parry. And I really like in the fight, whenever you're close to the wall, he'll throw him back.
Yeah.
So that way the action is not so close to the wall and just kind of doesn't fall apart. And something I've always loved about the Arkham games is that everything is so zoomed out and you can see everyone in the room, so you know how to like counter and deal with all the threats.
Yeah, in theory, that's nice. When the camera doesn't want to work, it's a different story.
I had no problem with the camera.
Oh, I had plenty.
I think there was a few instances where there was like an enemy or two off screen, as they haven't really refined like what Rocksteady did, but otherwise, I mean, I just came off of playing DC Superhero Girls for the Switch, where the camera is like right next to your character, and you literally can't see anything. So this is quite refreshing.
Okay,
fair enough.
I mean, I know another one of the complaints that people have with this game is that it has a big open world for nothing. And that doesn't bother me, because this game has the same size map as Arkham City, and then you add another part, New Gotham, which you also, and people were upset that you don't really do a whole lot in the city, and you don't. I mean, all you need to do is fly from spot to spot, unlock fast travel, and then never fly, and then just fast travel from then on. And I'm okay with that, because I don't need an open world game full of things everywhere, because if there's stuff everywhere, I'm going to end up trying to do stuff and get irritated and stop. And so I'm okay with that. The map was kind of boring. Like, it didn't bother me. It's there if you need it, but if you don't care about the Riddler stuff, you can just avoid it.
And see, my thoughts on having an open world is, if you're going to bother to unlock fast travel, have stuff in the world. Like, you could have just eliminated fast travel by making the map smaller and more densely packed.
Yeah, but they were going for the whole feel. That was even one of the touting points on the when this game came out that Gotham is bigger. I think I feel like that was a thing at the time with open world games where it wasn't about how dense your map was, how big your map was too.
Well, I mean, you're not going to name plates for me because I absolutely hate open world games. I think they're maybe one of the worst things that ever happened to video games because you just have a giant map that's, we have 100 hours of game, but there's nothing to do other than walk around. So having a map this kind of condensed, and I mean, it's like Arkham City. Like if you want to do the Riddler stuff, you can, or the Enigma stuff rather, you can, and that's, is okay. And same thing with Arkham City, because like you had that big section in the middle where if you were, say, at the place where the Penguin is, the museum, and you have to get to like the industrial complex, you have to fly all the way around. And I mean, the only thing to do there was like do Riddler stuff or fight some bad guys, and there's always people around here, and they're constantly throwing out the street crimes as well. So if you want to go do those to get some extra experience, like that option is there, even though that's one of the things I don't like about this game is how like they have the levels of challenge, and they're broken up in like stealth, predator, and something else, I believe.
I can't remember.
Yeah, there's 3 tiers, and there's the 15 challenges, but like they don't open until you get to them. So if you do a street crime in every district and then you get to the point of the challenge where it's do a street crime in every district, all the ones you did before that doesn't count.
Okay, yeah, that's what I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you have to do them in order.
So it's not like Arkham City where you had all the challenges where it was like, do this glide for so many meters without using the boost or whatever. Like you can just do them at your own pace. But this is like, if you're playing it for the first time, you might do it, but every time after that, like I completely ignore the street crimes as it's just a distraction.
Yeah.
I only did them when I was trying to level up for Deathstroke fight. After that, I stopped doing them. I was really scared of this fight. Like I was just, because I remember getting my ass beat by it. I remember having such a hard time with it. So that was the only time that I really was trying to prepare. After that, I just didn't get, I stopped. I avoided the street crime, but I did like the fact you get to fight the cops. That did amuse me in this game because it fits the story. Another thing I about the open world map that, fun fact for me, is back when this game came out, my son was, I want to say 6 or so when I was playing this. And what I did is, because he liked to play games and he would just run around an open world map, this game was perfect for him just to fly as Batman and fight once in a while and just fly. Because it was so open, there wasn't a whole lot going on. So it was perfect.
Yeah, that too.
I know it's not what the game would want, but it worked for me. And I mean, he didn't really care that much, but I thought it was cool.
I also appreciate any game that gives context to why people aren't around, no matter how stupid it is. Because it's like, it's Christmas and it's Gotham, so everyone's inside. I'm like, okay, at least you have that line of dialogue that tells me why there isn't people out here.
And you have the radio saying there's a curfew all the time. So they do a good job of trying to establish that the reason why it's not and I know that was one of the complaints. I'm okay that it's not populated. I don't care that there's not a lot of people running. Like, I don't need just random civilians running around. I don't need to hear my mother's my sister. I don't need to hear that bullshit. Like, I'm okay with not being a lot of people. Someone got that reference out there. So, like, it didn't bother me. It didn't have that.
I don't know. I kind of just like to have some, people walking around, Batman's flying through, and somebody just says, "Oh shit, it's the Bat." That'd just be kind of fun.
Yeah, you kind of get that a lot. One thing I always love about these games is the villain flavor text or the bad guy flavor text. When you're just flying around and they're just having conversations like, "Hey, let's get a drink." It's like, "Yeah, this place is closed. Yeah, let's go knock over a liquor store." And even like some of the fights I didn't realize, it's like if you kill like 4 people and you're going to punch the last guy, they'll say something like, "I'm just going to give up crime now," and then just fall to the ground, which I always thought was really funny.
You do kick a lot of ass in this game. And I was also a fan of how things open up, because after you finish the Deathstroke fight, you get the Anarchy side missions, which are completely pointless, but they open up. Is Anarchy in Arkham Knight?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I remember nothing about Arkham Knight, but I thought, All right, we'll find out. We're covering that in
I don't remember. I know Azrael's in it, so I may just be getting it confused.
Okay, next year
with
we're
A
playing it,
names.
we'll know. But the anarchy stuff, like I thought it was amusing this time. Like as I was playing, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna blow up this bank and I'm gonna do this," and where people are just doing the 9 to 5 working, paying off their mortgages, stuff like that. And I was just kind of laughing at it. But I'm like, okay, I get where you're going from Mr. Anarchy, even though you're doing it wrong. I get it. Like it was fine. I mean, yes, it's a stupid side quest that the fights is nothing special, like you said. It's earlier. One of you guys did. It's a fight where you just fight a guy in a crowd. But I didn't have a problem with that because it was just more me being Batman and me leveling up and me getting achievements. So I was just enjoying myself. I had no problem with any of the side missions really.
Yeah, they're not terribly long, which I like. They don't drag on. Like I think the Deadshot one might be just a detective sequence and then the Deadshot fight, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's really fast, but it was cool, and I like the fact that a couple of the assassins are not even the people you have to take out. You know, they're side missions
at all.
Well, only two, I think. Shiva and Deadshot are the only two that are optional.
Mad Hatter.
Well, he's not one of the assassins.
Well,
He's
technically.
He's not on the list of 8 assassins.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
But we can talk about Mad Hatter real fast. So when we were playing Arkham City, I kept remembering that there was a girl that got kidnapped that he was calling Alice, and it was this game that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like the Mad Hatter seeing this. I like when the guys come and they're like, we want to play a game, and they're all like fizzing out because the masks aren't really working that well, and all that was really good, I felt.
Yeah, Mad Hatter's always been one of the ones that I like. I enjoy Mad Hatter. Like, is he terribly threatening? No. But it's fun. Mad Hatter's a really good diversion. Anarchy ones are fun. The only thing that really, really made me upset about this game was the way they treated Alberto Falcone.
Is he? Oh, that's the son, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking
that's
about
the son that Penguin's got tied up and he's crying the whole time.
I mean, I think I'd be crying too, though.
You don't treat Alberto Falcone like that. That's Holiday from The Long Halloween. All right.
Oh no. Oh, okay. No wonder you're okay. Now I understand why you're upset.
And I think the Mad Hatter stuff, it's, to me, all of these games and even the most recent Spider-Man, everyone always tries to capture that Scarecrow moment from Arkham Asylum.
Can't.
And that's like lightning in a bottle that you can't duplicate.
No.
Because I think that's what the Mad Hatter, no, not the Mad Hatter thing.
It kind of has that feeling. It does have a little bit of like platformy levels where you're just kind of jumping across stuff. It's not the same as a Scarecrow. Like it doesn't have the same like 2.5D type environment, but it is the same idea of what they were going for.
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally thought it was cool. I mean, again, it's an optional side quest. It puts something on your map and says, go here if you want to do this. If not, avoid it. Doesn't matter. But of course, I went and did it immediately after I got it because I was excited to go. And I was excited to know that this was my memory was. And I like that when he tells her it's gonna be okay. Like, oh
yeah, that's haunting.
But it fits Batman, especially a young Batman who's not realizing like all the trauma this girl just went through. She got kidnapped, dressed up in an Alice costume, and almost murdered. Like it. I just really like this whole Mad Hatter scene. It's not hard or anything. It's simple, but to me it was cool.
And it's something like in comics they'll always try to, every so many issues, they'll just have like a line of dialogue where I was thinking of like Mark Waid's Daredevil, where every couple of issues he would just bring up like, oh yeah, when I was a kid this thing happened and now I'm like this. And I believe it's in like the Mad Hatter section where it's like, why are you like this? And then you kind of have like the flash of, is it here where they have like the flash of Crime Alley? Am I getting that wrong?
Yes, there's a flash of it somewhere.
I think it might be here.
It's in here somewhere. There's a very quick little part of it when I forget. I think it's the Mad Hatter, but it's definitely in this game.
You don't have to do the whole origin of Batman. It's just like, here's the flash of the alley, and then you're the kid, and then let's move on.
Yeah, it's very short, which I was okay with because I didn't need to see it again.
Yeah.
A fact that the movies would do well to understand that we don't need it every fucking time.
Only every reboot.
No!
And then I also want to...
You say that as if people aren't complaining that the MCU doesn't have an Uncle Ben moment yet, so...
People are
I'm glad that they don't have an Uncle Ben moment. I don't need it. We know he's dead. Move on.
Yeah,
and then you have
there's always the people who will say otherwise. But yes, continue.
One of the things that makes this game, I think, very special is the whole detective scenes. Like the first one you get where Black Mask has been murdered, and you're like, how did Black Mask get murdered if he's the one that hired me? Like that whole scene where you're, I mean, yes, one of the complaints is you're just, rewinding things, watching things. I don't care. The fact that you get to see Batman being a detective, I don't need multiple choice. I don't need, did I make the right choice? No, I just want to experience it the way, this brilliant detective is figuring out. I don't need the game. I don't need to be the one making the choice. It's so good though. Like that whole introduction of like everything with Black Mask where Cobblepot shows up. Like, oh, I think Cobblepot did it. No, he didn't do it. He was just here and someone else did it. Somebody broke through the window. Like, that's all.
Somebody
really
was sitting in a chair, and what's going on? Like we talked about this during our Mask of the Phantasm episode too. That we just like Detective Batman, and we got it in that movie. And I think this is probably like the first time in the game where it felt like Detective Batman, because in Arkham City, you figure out where the trajectory of Joker's bullet came from, and he's in the church. This felt different though.
Yes, before they would always try to incorporate that aspect of Batman persona into the games, but in Arkham Asylum it was, Commissioner Gordon led the literal breadcrumb trail of tobacco to follow. And then in City you have the League of Assassins member, you cut them and then you follow the blood trail.
Yep.
And this is, it's just fast forward and rewinding, but it's a simple gameplay element to kind of do this without being overly complicated, like, say, Batman and Robin were the PlayStation 1, where you have to actually find clues and be places at certain times and stuff like that.
That doesn't sound fun.
No, it's awful.
And also,
I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds amazing.
And we can find out one day. And also the detective missions I thought were cool, that you get random little crimes you get to solve too throughout the game as side quests that you don't have to do, but are there if you want to do them. I thought that was cool too. There's one where like the Deadshot one is also to find him as the little detective thing where you see he shot a helicopter, then you follow the bullet and you find Deadshot because he tells you where to find him. And there were a couple, like one where some guy like killed somebody lit them on fire or something, or there was a fire, you had to go track that down. Like, it was cool that they were there. Like, I like the fact that I got to be Detective Batman for a bit.
Yeah. And then they carried that into Night as well. So as much as people kind of dismiss this as kind of the black sheep because it's not Rocksteady, they do that again in Arkham Knight. Like, there's a whole scene where Barbara's in a car and she gets thrown from the car, and you kind of have to follow that breadcrumb trail, just like in this one. And in the Wii U version, you actually have to like have the tablet and move around in a physical space, kind of like you have to move it around instead of walking. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it had that like Zombie U mechanic.
That's not a game I was expecting to hear about.
It's a great game.
I want to play it someday, but I don't want to play the Wii U version. So
it's on modern consoles.
Yeah, that's what I want to play someday.
But without the fun. So I don't know why you'd bother.
Because I don't like the Wii U.
You monster.
2-hour battery life tablet.
That's why you play it with the cord plugged in.
On this podcast. And then you go another thing that, because I really need to watch Batman Year One again, but the fact that you get to go to the GCPD in this game, you have to break in and you just are taking out tons of SWAT, and they do make comments constantly how corrupted they are there, and you can see, because you hear conversations where they're like, all right, if we get the bat, we get that bounty. Fuck the Black Mask, we'll get it if we can get him. Like, I mean, here they're working with criminals. Like, it's good.
One of the cops is the most wanted. He's in the most wanted list.
You never get Brendan, though. I was surprised. I thought he'd be a boss fight in this game.
I thought you do at the end.
Maybe I didn't, but maybe I just didn't do something like a side quest or something. Or maybe I just wasn't paying attention, because he might be in the end and I just wasn't paying attention. Because I remember hearing his voice. They talk about him near the end of the game, but I think
it might be during the Firefly mission.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I think so.
I think you're right, too. And like another thing I thought was really cool is that you meet Barbara for the first time, and she's not apprehensive of Batman. She's trying to help him and be like, and I thought that was cool. Like, I liked the whole fact that she gives him a tip, like, hey, you got to go downstairs and get this. And, that was cool to me, because we know where it's going.
Yeah.
You're just having flashbacks of her sleeping with him, huh? That was a problem for you?
It was a problem.
But they don't do that in this series, do they? Because
No.
Because her and Tim Drake get married at the end of Arkham Knights, I believe.
I feel like yes. I feel
because
like
there's the WB Games Montreal. They did the Batgirl expansion for Arkham Knights, where you are Batgirl and she's teaming up with Tim Drake, which was like one of the best parts of DLC for that game.
Which we will be doing someday in a mini.
Yeah,
once we ever get there. But I don't know. I just like making the killing joke to Kenneth. I know he hates that part.
I do.
You'd be hard pressed to find someone who likes it.
You have someone right here that has no problem with that movie. So,
boo this man. Boo!
I like that entire movie. I think it's great. And I have no problem with the extra stuff. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get there someday when I do an episode about that movie.
Sure.
But so just like I like the whole GCPD. I enjoyed meeting Barbara. I enjoy him seeing people for the first time. Yes, I know. Like one of the complaints was he shouldn't be meeting all these people in one night, all one event. Like sometimes life can happen that way, and two, it's a comic book game. Like who cares? Yeah. I mean, why are you? And again, it's Christmas Eve. There's a $50 million bounty on him. Like it gives enough reasoning and context that these things are happening. And why Batman is doing what he's doing, because he even says the bounty on me is going to attract these people that are then going to then kill innocents to get me, which we see with Firefly later in the game. So I'm completely okay with that concept. I'm completely okay with what goes on. I like the fact that he meets Barbara and so many characters for the first time. You see his interaction with Gordon where they're not friends yet. They're enemies kind of, like he's like, I got to bring you in. And I like all that. I think all that is very well done.
I didn't realize that was ever considered a problem with this game. I thought it was all done pretty organically. Like it all makes sense within the story. Even Barbara being on your side, because I don't know how old she is. Maybe teenager, early or late teens, early in college.
Teenager.
Like she would be that idealistic person who would say, "No, this guy is doing better than the police," and Jim Gordon being this, by the books cop would have that clash with his daughter. So I like that as well. And then by the end, he's like, oh, my daughter was right all along.
It works well. I like the way that this game feeds you side quests. Like you get some side quests at this point where you get to go blow up crates. I think it's Black Mass stuff. Or no, it's not Black Mass. It's the Penguin weapons. It's just, again, just a little side thing to do that I enjoyed. And then you go into the sewer, which is not, I don't think there was much that went on in the sewer. You just have to go down there to connect the wires to get the data from the GCPD about the murder, which again, just more stuff. Like I was fine with that. Then you go to the bank, and I think the bank is when the game really gets like, this is when the twist starts coming. This is when you see. So I know you're a big fan of Black Mass, right, Ken? If I remember correctly.
I am.
I would have.
That's the problem.
I would have rather had Black Mass in this game, to be honest. Like, I would have rather not had the villain that we're going to spoil this game, which came out 9 years ago at this point, so I don't care that much.
Yes.
But, so Black Mass ends up being Joker the whole time, and it wasn't Black Mask. And I'm okay. Yes, it annoys me because I would have rather had just a Black Mask game, not a Joker game, but understand the way the Arkham series is, where it's so much focused on Batman and Joker. That's just what the Arkham series is, period. I'm okay with it being their first meeting. It's kind of cool to see the Joker really acting as somebody else. And then as the game progresses, you see how he turned Black Mask guards because he killed whoever didn't join him. But I could have done without it. But I think they did a good job with it. That
introduction I love his introduction in this game. Like when he has the employee there and she's just like on the Joker venom and just collapses to the ground, and just the music and like even Troy Baker's performance like as that character, and then kind of what happens after the hotel, which is maybe one of my favorite parts of the Arkham series ever. It was kind of a bummer that, the Joker does come, but the things they do with that character and setting up like the relationship and how it moves forward, I was like on board the second they did all of it. Like it was, a bummer. It would be nice to see like more villains, is even like Arkham Knight where the Joker is dead, but he's still kind of the main villain.
Yeah.
But then like you said, it's like the series is the relationship between Batman and the Joker, and it's kind of a bummer that everyone else is there, but they're just by the wayside. But they still kind of work him in well enough, and yeah, Black Mask could have done better. Same thing with Deathstroke, but like what's here with the Joker it's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Arkham, and I'm assuming this also something that came down from WB that told them they had to do this. I'm assuming. Because, a game like this isn't...
You have, like, these games now, like, I was kind of brought up on Twitter about the new Marvel game they announced, the Midnight Suns, where it's all these obscure Marvel characters, but you have, like, Iron Man and Captain America, and you're like, why are those guys there? It's like, well...
Yeah, they were part of the Midnight Suns.
You kind of still have to market these $150 million games. You can't just have kind of these more obscure or lesser known characters. Like, you have to make compromises, I guess. So yeah, like, Black Mask is not totally obscure, but to most people who say maybe only watch the movies or Batman the Animated Series, they might not really know much about him. Like, frankly, I think my introduction to Black Mask was maybe the Under the Red Hood animated movie.
God, I love that movie.
Me too. Yeah, I can see that because I don't know him very well. I know it, but I'm also more of a Batman connoisseur than I would feel like your average person. Who I am, for sure. So that makes sense. He's not a big marketable villain as Joker is, but I don't remember. I'm assuming they didn't advertise the twist, but still, I mean,
nope.
Word of mouth would have got out.
Yeah, the first time they ever mentioned like all the marketing and the trailers was Deathstroke. That like the first trailer was Batman versus Deathstroke, and it ended with the pre-order now plays Deathstroke nonsense that all these trailers have now. I think like the first instance is when they say Black Mask is dead. You go to his house and you find out it's some person named the Joker, and that's the first time you heard of it. And to me, I was like, oh, maybe they're just going to mention it and then just move on. But then they kind of just keep going.
Yeah. Also, the other thing is that...
like, I'm not a fan of what they did, like having the Joker here. This is the third game in the series with the Joker. And I wish they would have just kept it Black Mask. But I will agree, I like what they did with him. But I don't know, I'm tired of the Joker in Batman games.
No, it makes sense. I mean, also as big Batman fans as we are, I think we like to see other of his rogues gallery where when you're trying to market something big, you got to put the Joker in it because the average person knows who the Joker is. Hell, the fucking dumbasses, they go, "Oh, I'm Joker and she's my Harley Quinn," not having any idea how dumb they are. But so I guess that's the idea with Joker. And I don't want to go there. He's more of a villain that's very much in the mindset of the average Joe, where we're not the average Joes when it comes to Batman.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff that's just left on the floor. Even with the villains in this game, they could have done more with.
Yeah. Speaking of villains, I want to talk about when you go to like the Foundry. I think this is another really good scene too. Everything with the Foundry. You go through there, and then eventually you end up. I forget why you're there exactly, but you end up running into Copperhead.
Fucking steel mill. God.
I know it's a repeat from Arkham City, but I'm okay with it in this game because I really like the Copperhead part.
The Copperhead, yeah. Copperhead's pretty cool.
I also like the fact that it's not the Copperhead, because in the comics, Copperhead, they even make that comment in here. They're like, in my database, it says it's a male.
Yeah.
Because if I remember right, Copperhead is a male character normally.
Normally, yes.
I don't even know who he is, really. Like, he's a, D-list villain or something?
I just find it distracting that even though this isn't Rocksteady, it still has their kind of out-of-touch female character design for Copperhead.
Oh, yeah.
Where every female character in the Arkham series is half naked or has like a thong line on the outside of her costume, like in Catwoman's case.
Yeah. But to be fair, comic books. So I'm not defending it.
It's hard to go back to like watching Poison Ivy, like Harley Quinn, where Poison Ivy's just like in clothes, or even in Arkham Knight, where she's still just wearing like a shirt buttoned in the middle. Like in these games, you've never had another costume other than this.
Yeah, that's marketing too. Deal.
Yeah.
Oh, we've covered the the male gaze of video games before about Harley Quinn. So
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it comes up a lot in this podcast too. And but the whole thing I found, you rescue Black Mass, which is cool, which ends up leading to a side quest later on where you confront him. But the whole thing about Copperhead is that she poisons him, and that's what makes it so interesting. So as you're wandering around dying of this poison, trying to get out of here, you keep fighting fake Copperheads. And this is where you have
this fight harder than the Deathstroke one. This is the one that makes me panic.
I didn't actually have too many. Well, I was also playing this on easy. I didn't have too many problems with this fight. It didn't really bother me. I mean, it's cool how he's just fighting illusions of her, and some do the blade. I mean, I did get hit by the one that dashes back and forth, but I enjoyed this fight actually. I know only one is real, and the rest don't really do anything to her health bar, but it was just cool to me. I don't know. I liked it a lot for some reason.
I will say this about the boss fight games. Or the boss fights in this one, none of them are exactly the same. They're all pretty damn different.
Yeah, there's not Bane, and Bane.
No. But, I mean, you do fight Bane.
Yes, but it's not throw a batarang at his face. Okay, now he runs into the wall. All right. Now you fight a Titan guy that you throw a batarang in his face. All right. Now there's none of that. Thank God.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's at least interesting.
I mean, you still have to run him into the wall, but there's clever Mr. Freeze-esque ways of getting him to run into the wall.
It's way better. I was upset because I remembered that Bane was in this game, and then I saw him, and I'm like, oh, and I remember there being a stupid Bane fight, but it was better than I was expecting from what I remembered.
I actually really like Bane in this because every piece of media seems to forget that Bane is actually a genius.
Yes.
He is a muscle-bound guy with this formula that makes him super jacked, and he's a physical threat. But his introduction in the comics, or actually, I mean, I read the novelization of Nightfall when I was in junior high, is him making this plan to wear down Batman and then break him. It's not just a big doofus with an oil drum or two on his back.
Oh,
yeah, no.
Before we go to Bane, I just want to wrap up the thing with Copperhead, where I like how once you get the antidote, you just punch her once or counter her and it's over.
Yep.
Which, again, makes sense because without the venom, she's not really that special. It's the fact that she tricks him and poisons him quickly that makes him so susceptible to her, where you just counter her and he ties her up and throws her in a train cart thing.
And looping back around to why didn't Batman capture the electrocutioner, it was almost a happy accident because she gives up the meeting and you get there because of the electrocutioner.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which I like. And then as you guys were talking about Bane, I don't know Bane very well because I haven't read a lot of comics, but I was reading some of the Tom King's run in Rebirth of Batman, and it has a thing with Bane, a big arc with Bane where he is trying to wear down Batman. He's having Batman fight all these idiots and stuff. He's really trying to break Batman, the whole Catwoman wedding thing that was supposed to happen. All that was just to break Batman.
We should cover Nightfall.
We had talked about it many times in this podcast, and I'm up for it. It'll be a monster.
It
just read
will
the novelization.
No, you got to read all 3 volumes of the thing.
Yeah, I'll do it though. If you want to do it, I'll do it.
Oh, I'm down.
It'd be 1 volume each, I think, for an episode. Yeah, it's been on my list. It's one of those comics that I feel like I'm missing out by reading it. Wow, I can't talk.
These volumes are pretty big, though. Just so you know,
they're huge.
I know.
That's why I said read the novel.
I've seen the books. I've held the books. I've never bought the book.
Yeah, they're 600 pages each.
Yeah, to go back to Bane though, because that was another thing I think was interesting with this is that, as you guys were saying, Bane isn't just gigantic. They kind of also reflects on this because as the game progresses and things happen, you even see his army. Because that's one of the things about Bane is does he control a country or something, or just a mercenary group? I can't remember all the details with him.
It's more of a mercenary group than anything.
Okay,
but I don't know. Did he ever take over? What's that island? Santa.
I think in the comic, in the Rebirth run, he has a country of his own, an island or something. But in this, he's just a mercenary, which is more relative to what we're talking about. But that's what came to my mind. I like how his mercenary group takes over in this game, becomes the regular fiends that you're fighting.
Mm.
And it's something they kind of bring it up with the Bane fight, when I guess we're missing in a whole section. we'll loop back there. Is that
the hotel?
Yeah, I love at the start of this game, and even where to the people of Gotham, Batman is still this mystery that no one knows about. Because when you go into the introductory level, he's like, "Oh, turn around." And he's like, "I'm not falling for that. There's nothing there." And then he looks up and sees the shadow. And then, like, in the Bane fight is like, I love TV camera framing in video games, like in DMC Devil May Cry, where you're essentially fighting Fox News. And here it's like Gotham, like the Gotham City, or the Vicky Vale is there, and it's like, oh my god, like Batman's here. Like, it's this character that's been rumored for months and no one's ever caught him on camera, and now here he is.
Yeah, that's a good scene. The stuff with Bane is really good though in this game. Like, I was surprised how good it is. Like, everything with the hotel, I thought, like, leading up to Bane, where Bane's just kind of waiting for him at the top of the hotel. He's like, I know he's gonna come for you, Joker, so I'll just stay right here and wait for him to get to you.
And that's a great level, too. Like, I really like when you get the although I like the electrocutioner gadget that you get for traversal purposes, but I think it makes the game a little bit too easy.
It does.
Fair enough, yeah.
Well, I won't complain it was too easy, but that's a me thing.
Because that's something they introduced in the Wii U version, I believe. Like, that mode, or that power-up mode, was in the Wii U version. They kind of just incorporated it here. Because it builds up really fast, and then you just, like, mow through fools.
That's fine. Yeah. I also like the fact that they kicked the electrocutioner off the out of the hotel, and that's how you get the gauntlets, because you pick it up from his dead body.
Yeah.
So there was a line in the hotel. So as you're going to the hotel, Joker's like, "Well, did I tell you how I got all this carnival stuff? I got a great deal." He left with a smile, and I just started laughing because it's a Killing Joke reference. I'm like, "Oh, I bet Ken laughed at this." Did Ken laugh at this?
Ken did not laugh at this.
Okay. I did.
I can't get that under my head. So I know you have to suspend your disbelief with comic book and superhero media, but, like, this must have been like a good couple of months to get all that stuff in there.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, is there construction on the top floor? It's like, yeah, someone's doing something. It's just like a bunch of goons going in the back elevator, making a roller coaster, and all these, like, elaborate traps. It's a really cool set piece. But, like, in my brain, it's just like, did you just do this today? Like, how many people? Like, everyone here, these thugs sound kind of dumb. Like, is there anyone really smart enough to assemble all of this?
Maybe Black Man.
And where did you get the permits?
Maybe he owned the hotel, so he just did his own thing and he paid off everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's true enough. Yeah, because I guess we don't know how long he's been impersonating Black Mask.
Yeah,
so.
A little while. They tell you in, like, how long he's been dead and stuff, or how long they thought that person was dead and that shot happened.
Yeah,
I forget. It's not real long, but that's what I'm assuming is why. But it was one of those things where I just didn't, like, just put disbelief and just keep going. But I get what you mean. I just laughed a lot when it made the Killing Joke reference. And speaking of Killing Joke references, you get a whole, like, Joker flashback here up when you get to the top, where it really just talks, like, it shows you him as the Red Hood and he's walking around, and it gives you a brief, like, outlook of what happened in the Killing Joke and how he becomes the Joker. But the thing that I always like about the Killing Joke and all these Joker stories is that the narrator that's telling you is a liar, so you can't trust anything you're seeing. So I always find that so interesting. Because, again, it's a Joker. He's a failed narrator. You can't trust a word he's saying. So it's
I just
one of
love
the oldest
like,
tropes in the book.
He hits the realization, like, when he falls and then Batman goes for him, and he's just like, why was he doing this? And then you kind of have that whole section where you're just like, it's so great that it's something that's controllable. Like, it's not a cutscene that you're sitting there and watching. It's he's telling the story, you're controlling it, and then you go through the whole thing. My only really issue, I don't know, like, something about the Arkham series that's weird is that it seemed like Rocksteady was kind of disavowing this, but then in Arkham Knight, they kind of bring it up a bunch as if it's canon, like, even more than what I thought they would. And the whole, like, you're led to believe that this is the first time that Joker has ever met Harley.
Yes.
But in the Arkham Asylum tapes, it's almost like that's the first time that he met her, and it plays out completely differently. So that kind of contradicts that a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
retconning maybe, like, or just not concerned, like it's been so many years. But yeah, I see what you
because
mean.
I mean that's just a collectible, and this is actually in the cutscenes or whatever. Because I think in the Arkham Asylum tapes, they first meet, and by the last one, it's her like shooting up the place and getting him out.
Yeah, she goes crazy. He turns her. Okay, I see what you mean. I mean, I had no problem with the Harleen Quinzel stuff, but I had forgotten all about the tapes that were even in this game because it's been a while. So, okay, I see what you mean, though.
Yeah.
And then is after you do all this, where you fight Bane and the people see him on the TV, you go to Bane's headquarters, I put in here, which I don't even remember what that was exactly.
You put the tracker on him.
Okay.
And then the tracker ends up on one of his thugs, and I believe you have to go under the GCPD again.
Into the morgue.
Because you can't go there, and then that leads you. Then
you go to the bridge to the whole Firefly thing, where Firefly is trying to. Because at this point, I think Joker's already been captured. Yeah, because Joker gets captured after the hotel. You fall off the cliff or the hotel. He saves Joker, and that's when Joker kind of like flips and is like, "Why did you save me? I just killed all these people, and you saved me." And that's when like he gets kind of weird after that.
And I'm just trying to think of the thread, because I know between that and after you get the corpse is when you find out that Bane knows his secret identity.
Yes, in the Bane headquarters, at the very end of it, you see computers that say that Bane knows who Batman is. Like, he figured it out.
Because it's like during the whole Firefly segment that he's like tells Alfred, it's like, I have to deal with this, go in the cave, lock the doors.
Yes, because he's trying to, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, and you do the whole, because he wants to go back to the Batcave, but he's like, if I don't take out Firefly now, he could, because he's threatening to blow up a bridge. This entire bridge if you don't stop him. I like running across the bridge, because then you have interaction with him and Gordon. You're taking out the SWAT team. You have a lot of good moments, I feel, that kind of build the story and build the tension at the same time. He's worried about Alfred, but he's trying to do what's right. And like, I enjoy the Firefly boss fight too. I think it's a little unique.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Just using the claw to kind of drag everything around. Like, that's cool.
It's only one boss fight, so I'm okay with it. It's not like it wasn't reused over and over again.
Right. And it's anytime you introduce like verticality into a Batman game, it's kind of interesting.
This part took me a while. It just did. I felt like maybe because I was just busy, but I liked it. I liked the bridge. I like Firefly. And then it's at the end of the Firefly fight, which is, and I also, one of my issues with this, I was remembering the Arkham Knight, because I think Firefly's in Arkham Knight too, where you chase after him while you're flying.
He's burning down the fire departments. Yeah,
and I was like, isn't that this game? I got my games confused at first. And you are right. It's here where you find Brandon and you have him and he's tied up. And this is when you knock him out or something, because you free him and then he tries to punch you and you counter him and put him down.
Yeah.
So okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because I'm watching the video as we're talking. But no, like the whole bridge is just fun, running around like you were saying, all the vertical stuff and things are falling apart, and it's just cool. And it's the end of the Firefly fight when he gets the message from Bane that Bane is at his cave. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you have to go there, and the cave's being blown up and like, all messed up from Bane being here. The computer is ruined, and you find Alfred pretty much dying. And you
don't have detective vision, like that's all shut down. So you have like no, you don't even know where to look, because everyone relies on it, and you're just like, what do I do? And then you just have to go turn it on.
I like the way that you save Alfred too, because Electrocutioner made a comment earlier in the game, and I think he remembered. No, that's later. But he ends up, jump starting Alfred's heart with the gauntlets.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna kill you, then I'm gonna jump start your heart and kill you again.
Yes, which he has that memory before he does the Joker fight that we're getting to.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then there's and then right after this, because I had not fought Shiva yet, hence the reason why she was not in the walkthrough or my little note. Because I was like, I'm going to go I'll do Shiva before I finish the game. And I knew Black Gate was the final part of the game. I had forgotten that as soon as the game makes you go to the bridge, it sends you right to Black Gate and sends you right into the last area of the game.
The Shiva stuff is really easy to miss. Like, I remember the first time I played, I was like, how do you get there? And it's like, after you go out of the bank, I'm going to say.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like the baby and he's crying, and then that whole thing starts, but it's just like a few missions where I guess it's kind of establishes that you're being watched by the League of Shadows and Ra's al Ghul.
It's one area that you have to walk in where you will hear a baby crying, then you have to walk over to a stroller, and the stroller will then activate the mission. Normally, every other mission shows up on your map. This one does not. You have to go to one particular area and walk around to hear it and find it, which is different than everything else in this game. And that's why I didn't get it till I had to look it up after I beat the game. Like, where is Shiva again? Because I wanted to fight all the assassins. And the Shiva fight, I like it. I think it's fine. It's a really short mission where you go and do a little investigation, follow a trail, and then you go and fight her in a room with a bunch of other enemies. With martial artists, if you haven't talked about, which is one of the new enemies in this game where they can counter you and stuff, and you can't do the KO button thing when you build up your meter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the triangle, circle, or the YB.
Yeah. You can't. But other than that, I mean, I like the Shiva fight, and you don't beat her, and Shiva's one of the League Assassins. She makes some kind of comment, and then she leaves. Yeah.
And then fine.
Like the whole Blackgate thing, I thought that was a really cool, like, just when you get to Blackgate, everything's gone to hell. There's officers tied up and, dead all over the place. Like, it is a really cool scene, I felt, like, leading up to it. And the whole thing with Joker, where his plan is he has you fight Bane, but he hooks himself up to a electric chair. And he's like, one of us is going to die. That was good.
Yeah, you either have to kill Bane, or Bane's heartbeat is going to charge the chair and kill the Joker.
Yeah.
And before that, because I don't think that's something we touched on, is that the relationship between Bruce and Alfred in this is really great.
Yes.
Yes.
We have not either.
Because he's like, especially like the big fight they have, where he's just like, I am the reason why criminals breathe a sigh of relief when the sun is up. And then once you kind of kickstart his heart, I guess, he kind of realizes it's like, exactly, it's like, I don't really like what you're doing, but I understand why you need to do it and why the city needs you. And then it's kind of the revelation to him that, the city just doesn't need me, it needs you and Gordon and the three of us working together to kind of get through this. Like, I can't just do it on my own.
Which is a great realization for Batman, too.
Yeah.
Which is what makes this game better. I'm a big fan of everything kind of in Blackgate. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, I actually enjoyed the Bane fight, even though I was like, I don't want to fight Bane again. But it made it work, and then he becomes Super Bane, which I actually like Super Bane.
Yeah, it's very much like the Mr. Freeze fight, where you have to do like the different takedowns, that you can't just sneak up on him or hide in the vents, because he'll know. It's like, oh, you're in there, and he'll pull you out.
Except on easy.
Yeah.
Oh.
On easy, you can just do the smoked pellets and just silent take down each time.
And it's funny because like Alfred mentions like, if you don't do it fast enough, he's going to become too strong. But I don't know if there's an invisible time limit, because there isn't one on screen.
No, I don't think there is one, because I was taking my time and nothing happened. Maybe there is one, but I'm in my game opinion, there isn't one. They didn't put it in there. Not that he would kill himself, that the venom would be too much for him and he would die.
Yes, I think it's like once it kicks in too much, like you won't be able to beat him.
Yeah.
I liked it though. I mean, you have to like grab him, then run him into like electrical currents, and then I like the fact that because of that, because he went Super Bane, he loses his memory and forgets that Bruce is Batman.
That's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina that I know, really care for.
I'm okay with it.
It's kind of something that they have to do because he doesn't know in the other games.
Yeah. It's the same thing they've done with, what's his name? Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange has figured out that Batman is Bruce Wayne so many times, and every time he loses his memory.
Comic books.
More wine and heavy gravy?
It was still, I think it was a good final boss fight, and then you have like the little, what I wrote down as Joker epilogue, where you just arrest Joker pretty much, and like they just fight really quickly.
Or you massacre Joker.
Oh yeah, you beat down him. Okay, that was cool. But I like it that Joker didn't have like a epic boss fight or anything, because it's just the Joker. He's not a strong individual. He's not somebody who's able to really put up with Batman on a physical level. He's more like the Lex Luthor to Superman type of villain.
Yeah, that's something they realized after Arkham Asylum pretty fast, that you can't just do a doofy Joker has like, I don't know, a giant robot or something that he's in, or I don't know, or just like the monster Joker is like.
Oh, so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. I do like that you find Joker in the chapel, though. That's kind of cute.
Yeah, it is. And I think when you meet Harleen at one point, when you rescue her in Blackgate, she makes a comment about Joker waiting for Batman or something too.
Yeah, that's when you kind of realize that she's like, "Are you gonna go? Like, are you frightened?" She's like, "It's an occupational hazard." Like, that's when the seeds of what happens to her kind of are planted, because she's just like so indifferent to all the violence and the craziness.
Yeah. And you are right. It is a retcon versus what's in Asylum, because in Asylum, the first one they meet, like you were saying, is Asylum, not here. So I didn't catch it. So maybe that's what they thought people wouldn't catch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of how my brain works. And then when you think of the grand picture too, when I think of the Assault on Arkham direct-to-video movie and how that fits into everything, it's just like that.
Oh yeah,
we're covering
like, this
that
is
too.
Like, this is a prequel to that movie.
Yes, because that movie takes place before Arkham Asylum happens. Yeah, and then like just like I think to the end. The end. You know, he arrests you. He almost kills Joker, but he stops himself. Which I also like when Joker sees him. He sees a big bat monster, not Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like that. I thought that was cool. It's a good touch.
Agreed.
This is when Gordon doesn't arrest him and lets him go.
Because he can help the city.
I mean, he doesn't so much let him go as that he turns his back and he just kind of Batmans away.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he puts his gun on him.
I let him go. It's like, no, he didn't. He just let himself go.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, he puts a gun on him. And then
he does the Batman thing.
But in the dialogue at the end, he's like, why did I let him go? And it's just like, you're giving yourself a bit too much credit there, Jim.
You just looked at your radio and he was gone. Like, okay, I see what you mean. I thought, yeah. And this is then when you get the final little teaser thing that doesn't ever really pay off, you ask me, because it's this. So you see Deathstroke, you see Amanda Waller coming in to bring Deathstroke to have him join the Suicide Squad.
Well, yeah, they introduced that here, and then in Blackgate, they really go into it because they introduced Bronze Tiger, and Amanda Waller is there again. I think there's another member. I haven't been in a while since I played that.
Yeah,
and it's another thing that we failed to introduce is the Green Arrow Easter egg.
Oh, Oliver Queen Enterprise or something, right?
Yeah, and that's what like really bums me out about this game, is that like I was expecting a bunch of things to come from it that never materialized. Because like this was 2013, so this was like peak Arrow when it was like season 2, and that was about Deathstroke, and
that was good.
Yeah,
that's the best season, I think.
Thought they were gonna do, like, I even wrote, I was like, man, I would have loved to see a Green Arrow game where it's like, let's just ape all of this and then do flashbacks that are like the 2013 Tomb Raider game where you're on the island learning how to do things.
I feel like they had planned, but because this game was so poorly received and it didn't sell to what they wanted to, they just didn't do it.
And it's also, I mean, one of the things about this is that like this is the kind of era of what is Rocksteady doing and what's happening with Batman rumor mill. Because I remember before this came out, I remember reading somewhere where the next game was going to be a Silver Age story about Batman's first encounter with the Joker. And that's just kind of what this is. And then the next year's After Night, it was, there's going to be a Suicide Squad game that I think Jeff Johns teased. And then there was the Damian Wayne game, and then there was other things that like never happened until like last year when they finally announced. So maybe there was something and maybe it just didn't come together. I don't know.
I am fine with not getting a Damian Wayne game.
I knew you'd say that. Yeah, you don't like the little punk, right?
He's a punk.
I feel like your biggest problem with this game, Kenneth, was there was no Two-Face.
You're right. There was no Two-Face, and that's
Then we wouldn't have gotten
excusable.
But then we would have got two guns, bitch. You know?
Yeah, but we're not going to do that anymore because he never says it again.
And we're going to do it every time. So, any last thing to say before I go on to questions, comments, or memories? Okay.
Other than that, the Batman Assault on Arkham movie actually takes place in the Arkham video game universe. So, I mean, yeah, the setup with Amanda Waller is kind of a thing that does go somewhere.
Oh, and I should say before we go into that, I just remembered that I did not say, is one, there's I Am the Night mode, which you have to beat this game without dying once, which I would never do and never bother to try.
Yeah, I've never tried it either.
And the other thing is a challenge mode, which we don't really need to talk about, but they're challenge maps.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't do them. I don't care about them, but they're there.
Oh, actually, yes, I have something. I totally forgot because I was going to try this to see if it was actually still available. But apparently it's not. It's the multiplayer. This game had multiplayer.
Yes.
Where you had Josh Keaton voicing Dick Grayson as Robin, and you played as, like, villains. I never tried it because I'm not a big multiplayer person. This was, like, that era where
everything
like
had
every game had to have multiplayer because they didn't want people trading it in whether it needed it or not. Like, I remember, like, the Tomb Raider reboot had multiplayer. And, like, The Last of Us, although I heard The Last of Us multiplayer was really good, and then this also had it. And when the Wii U version came out, it lost the multiplayer. Like, they just, at the last minute, it was like, it's just the single-player game, which is, I'm really not missing much.
No.
And it was cool that they had, forgive me, I can't remember the name of the actress's name from Justice League doing the voice of Amanda Waller.
Okay. I don't know who it was either.
Harvey Bullock is in it for like 5 seconds, and they get that voice actor, and it's like, oh, that's cool, but why not more Harvey Bullock?
Yeah, everybody needs more Bullock.
I'm okay without having him. So
how dare you?
You know how I feel about him at this point.
Yeah,
I don't like that
I
character.
still say, how dare you?
So he was good in Gotham, though.
Yeah.
What I remember. It's been a while since I watched Gotham. All right. So I'm going to go to questions, comments, or memories. I did get a decent amount, actually, for this. So
yeah, this game has a cult following now, I will say.
Yeah. First one from, I watched the entire Overload Super Replay group from Isaiah Bailey. This game bricked my PS3 because of the multitude of bugs and glitches. Sorry. And from Andrew Craig, trying to wrangle and organize a group for the multiplayer trophies was one of the hardest gaming sessions I've ever had, especially in the archaic PS3 chat system where all we had is to type responses. It certainly didn't help that the netcode was so poor. It took us 2 hours to get in a lobby together. Easily one of the hardest platinums I've ever gotten. I'm closing in on 250.
Wow.
Yeah, I would never. I did go for online achievements back in the 360 era. I went and played the first Prey, and I remember I found someone in the group, and we did that. But yeah, never again. From Dwayne Laughlin, definitely underrated. There are some misses. The world design is a bit goofy, and the payoff for collecting the Riddler pack / trophies, whatever it is super underwhelming. But I think it has some of the more colorful set pieces in that hotel ascension sequence and some interesting attempts to freshen up the visuals for the series. It also has probably best boss fights in the series with Deathstroke. I think it gets a bad rep because it didn't continue where Arkham City ended. Playing as young Bats is great, but I think a lot of people were more interested in what happened after Batman walked out of that theater, and this game didn't have answers for that.
Yeah, that was another thing, too. I remember, like, I think that I really wanted to know where they were going after City, and then it was like a prequel, and you were just like, oh, I gotta wait.
Yeah. It was worth the wait.
Yeah.
I'm not from what I remember, Arkham Knight, I was not a fan, so we'll see if that changes, though.
It's rough, but I enjoy the conclusion.
I liked it better than I liked this.
I'm excited to go back to it finally, because I've never really finished it, so that's coming up next year. From Lewis of A, the underdog of the Arkham games. Love the game. My third favorite after Asylum. Love the story, music, and gameplay. My only complaint were the bugs. Other than that, it is a great game. And from friend of the show, Emmanuel Rodriguez. While Origins is the lesser Arkham games, in my opinion, it's still a solid entry in a fantastic series. I'm glad there's a bit more emphasis on detective work compared to the others, and the fight against Deathstroke is a memorable one. All right.
Agreed.
And last one from this group, Kyle Smith, the best Christmas game ever.
Parasite Eve is pretty good. Miles Morales is pretty great. I had like a bunch. I had like a list once upon a time.
I forgot the Parasite Eve is Christmas related. I should know that.
Oh, yeah.
I'd done that. We did that game in the show episode 25-ish, around there. Good fucking game. And from the official Laser Time community, from Sonia B, I got to play a demo version of this game at STC 2012, and you got 20 minutes with it. So I utilized my 20 minutes and explored and just had fun. The guys in the line behind me were upset. And I was like, excuse me, am I holding you up from spending more time in another line? I just like that. And from Tom Pollock, I got that super deluxe edition. The game was all right, but it just felt off a little compared to Arkham City. I made all my money back selling the statue, though, so it wasn't a total loss. From Jack Rodriguez, game sucks.
All right.
From Robin Youngman, I tried it recently for the first time. I didn't get very far into it. I was turned off by how stiff the combat felt compared to the other games. It seemed to have good atmosphere, but I wasn't feeling the gameplay.
I can agree with that.
And from Batman Arkham Knight official group, I got one comment from Steve Ironside. Main storyline is balls to the wall, amazing. Some of the side quests are all right, like the detective ones, but all the other missions, Riddler trophies, anarchy shit, biggest waste of time. And that's all I got. So thank you for writing
fair.
it. Yeah, no, I mean, there were some people do not like this game, which apparently I'm talking to one of them on this episode with me. We'll get there. We're almost there. And I think we should go to shelf, stack, or box. And I think we should start with a very positive note. So, Kenneth, how about you?
I'm going to put it in my stack. I'm not going to box it like you think.
That's where I thought you were going, yes.
This game was fine. Like, it felt like more of Arkham City, which, yes, it's disappointing to me. But if you like Arkham City, you're probably going to enjoy this game as long as you can play the patched version.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's just fine for me.
Okay. How about you, Blair?
I just had to check my shelf because I have 2 copies on it. I thought I had the Wii U version, but I think I sold it or gave it to someone. I put it on the shelf. I really enjoy this game. I was always a fan. I know like a lot of people didn't like it when it came out, but I enjoyed the story and I always go back to it. Like around the holidays, it's just a great Christmas game. Like you have this and a bunch of Batman Returns games, so there's a lot of great Batman games, and it's just like it's a lot of recycled stuff from City, like the settings and the combat and even the gadgets. Like the only really new one, I guess, is like the glue grenade is just the ice bombs from City, and the Destro Claws. I never brought up the Destro Claw. How it makes Predator sequence super easy. You can just like shoot people up on the gargoyles.
I didn't want to talk about the Deathstroke Claw because I had a better time of it in the Far Cry games.
Yeah,
I never actually played any of those, but
it's pretty much the same mechanic from Far Cry.
Okay.
3.
Yeah, but I mean, for the time, it was okay because I mean, there was a young series. There was only 2 of these, so yes, it's more of that. But you know, it's more of a good thing. So I don't know. It never really bothered me.
Okay. And I'll go last. This is also going to go on the shelf. So we've been covering the Arkham games, I've talked about how much I liked Origins, but I couldn't remember Origins. And then we went back and played it for the show this past week. I still had a great time with it. I still really like this game. I mean, the way I look at it is Arkham City and Arkham Asylum are like a great filet mignon steak. And this is just a steak. I mean, not as good, but it's still a very good game. And yes, there are some stupid glitches that on the PC version that did not get patched, which were stupid. But you know what? That's not Montreal's fault when WB says we're not spending more money on this thing. That's fine. Like I still had a great time playing the game. I really enjoyed it. Even if yes, some stuff doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's a prequel story. It doesn't always happen. I'm so glad that we got to play it, and I'm so glad it exists. And I will always tell people that I think I like this game more than Asylum now since we've gone back to them. I might even like this game more than Arkham City, to be honest. I really like Arkham Origins.
I just think it's kind of a bummer how like they did a Return to Arkham set and this one wasn't included, and like if you did play it on PlayStation, you have to stream it via PS Now. And on Xbox One, it's backwards compatible, but you have to have the disc.
Yeah, I feel like WB just got mad because it didn't sell what they expected and what they wanted, so they just shit on this game because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I still think if they put it on Switch, it'd probably still sell 1 million. So,
wait, no, it's a good. I mean, it didn't rate as good as I think they were expecting. It didn't sell the way they expected. So they just, I think WB is a lot to blame for just shitting on this thing.
Yeah, there was no like of the year edition or whatever because they put out the Cold Heart DLC. And that's still, I guess you have to have it. Like, it wasn't like with Asylum and City where they put out like the Game of the Year editions where it kind of packaged everything into one like set. Even though the Arkham City one had the terrible box art with all the quotes on it.
It also never goes on sale. As a guy who's been waiting for it for over a year now, or close to a year, sitting there watching on Steam, it has never gone on sale since I've been following it.
Oh wow!
And I've gotten the other stuff on sale. Like I bought
it for $5 on PS3 a couple of years ago.
That's what I want to pay. Like it's $10 on Steam, and that's where I bought the copy of this. and I really want to play because I want to do a mini episode DLC on it in the future, probably all three of us again. But I'm just waiting for a sale, and it won't go on sale, and it's frustrating me. And like the other stuff for Arkham Knight went on sale. I went and bought Arkham Knight on Steam so I could have the package. I had it for free on Epic, but I didn't. I wanted the DLC, so I had to buy it on there. Even that went on sale, but this has never went on sale.
Is the Arkham Knight PC version stable now? Because speaking of Batman and PC, I remember when Arkham Knight came out, like they had to take it off the store for like a month or two.
I hope so, since I own it. I don't.
I think they did finally stabilize it. Like it took months, but they got it.
Okay.
Do you have a PS5?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I know it's free in air quotes if you have like PlayStation Plus.
I have a PS4, but I have no interest in it. Except I do want an Xbox Series X because my Xbox One broke. But that's more of I just want an Xbox because I don't have one anymore, and I have a ton of Xbox games. So that's more of that than that. All right, and I also want to mention I want to tell us what we're going to be talking about next week. So we go from playing this amazing game to talking about another amazing game. We're talking about Soul Blazer for Super Nintendo. Because I like going back and playing games from my childhood on this show. So that's why we're doing that. Most people don't know what Soul Blazer is, but it's a good little action game. So you will hear about it next week if you tune in. And Blair, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Blaircade. You can also visit comicbookvideogames.com, where you can find all of my work and links to my books, including the recently re-released Web of Spider-Man Games Turbo Edition, which is very inexpensive on the Amazon Kindle store, with a great new cover by Rusty Shackles and a new edit from my trusted friend. I think it's great, and check it out.
All right, and you will see a link in the show notes to it. So, and as I said at the top of the show, we have a Patreon going on right now, and because of if we're getting into October, we are starting our spooky Patreon. So as little as $1, you can go on to our Patreon site. You will see a link in the show notes. The Game My Mom Found Patreon, and you can vote. And this current poll that we have coming up, we have 4 horror movies: Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, The Witch, 2015, Reanimator from 1985, or Poltergeist, 1982. You get to choose what shitty horror movie I have to sit through and review and do an episode about. So, and I hate horror movies, by the way. So for as little as $1, you can vote, and you can make that happen.
I don't like horror movies either, but I heard The Witch is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, me too. So I'm okay with 3 of the things on this list. I do not want to see Reanimator because I've heard that's
Reanimator's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned that you would even say those horrible things in my presence, Mike.
I like Nightmare on Elm Street. Does that count?
Oh.
So
Mm.
Oh, and before I forget, if you need more Batman, because if there's one thing we do on the show, we do Batman apparently all the damn time, and I almost forgot again. So if you're looking for more Batman, I will tell you what Batman episode you can go listen to if it loads and I can type Batman correctly, because apparently I can't. All right, we did Batman Mask the Phantasm, one of the best animated movies. Film 17, Batman Arkham City DLC, Harley Quinn's Revenge, where me and Ken complain. A Mini 13, Batman Arkham City, episode 118, Batman Arkham City comic 24. We talked about the comic leading into the game. Batman the Killing Joke, comic 22, Batman Arkham Asylum, episode 97, Batman the Long Halloween, comic 17, one of Kenneth's favorite comics.
Mm-hmm.
Batman Death of the Family, comic 8, Batman Hush, comic 3, and episode 3, we covered the Batman game for Genesis, which is about the first movie, which I don't remember that episode at all. So that is all the Batman stuff we have done.
For now.
Oh yeah, there's more coming. I already have more on the horizon. You will most likely hear another Batman episode in spooky time. That's coming up very soon, because we love Batman. Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who does the MCU stuff with me, which is almost wrapping up. He started his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40. So definitely go check him out. You will see a link in the show notes to his podcast. And I want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bobby, a.k.a. Mike Tony from CP Bite the Bullet. Song The Cool Kid Squad. Definitely go check him out. You will see a link in the show note to his YouTube channel. And last thing, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. We are on YouTube. So definitely go follow us on there. It's no video, just audio. But hey, some people rather listen to podcasts on YouTube. So we're there. And that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
So long.
Bye.
And the final way to finish off the episode, right? 2 guns, bitch.
2 guns.